guys. Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. Man, it has been a minute since I did any Jinjer, which is a bit of a shame because a lot of this channel was built around Jinjer. Like, they were one of the first bands when I started this journey of like trying to discover new music outside my comfort zone, which essentially means like bands with extreme vocals. You know, I've always been a fan of metal and stuff like that, but a lot of the sort of stuff would just kind of turn me off and I'd sort of typically go in a different direction. This channel was built around me sort of breaking through that barrier and trying to force myself to like some bands, or at least be exposed to some bands that I knew that I would like if I could just get past the vocals. And what I quickly discovered was, you know, extreme vocals are actually quite fascinating, and to the point where I've started practicing a lot of that stuff and sort of things, you know, in my own life. And it's been an amazing journey is what I'm getting at. But Jinjer were at the forefront of that because they were one of the first bands that really grabbed me by the throat and said, you need to take this journey, you know, or at least look deeper into this and sort of experience more of the genre. And so, you know, it's been a while since I've done anything because the channel's gone on many different tangents since then. I've gone into more classical style singing with operatic sort of stuff because it's still, to me, that's still an extreme vocal technique, right? Even instrumental with stuff like Polyphia and other bands like that. So, you know, the channel may have become more diverse, but my connection to, you know, bands like Jinjer that sort of were there at the start, or you know, bands like Unleash the Archers, which is another great discovery for me anyway. You know, I can't move on without occasionally going back and paying a homage to these guys. So that's what this is today. I just noticed this popped up. Haven't seen this one. It's only about 6 months old from what I can tell. So, you know, it'll be an interesting one to see kind of where Jinjer's at in today, you know, in today's times, as tumultuous as they may be. So anyway, we're going to jump right in. This is Jinjer, Disclosure. Tatiana is always amazing. The boys are always amazing. Yeah. All right, so let's hit it. Here we go. Love that tie, man.
Куди?
Мене слідчий викликав до себе.
Документи. Тетяна Шмелюк?
Так.
Проходьте.
Prochly. Come on in. I sense there's going to be... Oh. I sense there's going to be some challenging of authority in this one. Good riff. Interesting. Is this the chorus? They're alluding to the chorus at the start. It's cool. It's interesting, he's got a dossier on Jinjer. I wonder if there is one. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in the world there's a dossier on this band. It's interesting, actually, they've hit this hook twice so far and we're only 1:41 in. It's almost as if they've been, you know, in the case of this one, so far anyway, they're trying to write maybe a hit. Because that's one of the golden rules of like pop songwriting is to get to the chorus ASAP. You can do that in two ways. You can do what they did there where they alluded to the chorus hook in the intro, or you can try to get to the chorus before, like, I think the time Max Martin puts on it is something like 30 seconds, and literally every hit that's ever been written was written by Max Martin, you know, so he knows what he's doing. I'm not saying anything that, like, you know, in regards to like that sounds like they're selling out or anything like that. But I think when you're writing an album of songs, you want something that's going to connect with people immediately and try to get some new audience and stuff like that. So there's generally no shame in making a song a little bit more accessible. Having said that, the impetus might simply just be they just want something that's in the set you know, when you go see them live, this is the song that everyone rocks out to because it's easy, you know. It's a little bit more simplistic and accessible, so that, you know, you don't have to have your math rock sort of or, you know, math metal genty kind of blinders on to understand what's going on. It's easy to just dive in and go, ah, this is a song I'm just gonna like lose my mind to. I'm gonna jump back a little bit, and here we go. Even the riff is uncharacteristic of Jinjer in its simplicity, but I suspect that's all about to change. Yeah, here we go. Right there. Oh, I like that. It's one of those characteristic things of Jinjer, isn't it? That sort of clean, harmonized. Is it here? So it's like, I think it's like a 2 or 3 part harmony there, or at least maybe 3 voices doing a tonic and a doubling of a harmony or something. But she always does those little bits for effect where it's kind of like, it's got this weird stretchy elasticity to the melody she does while she does that. It's kind of a little snarky sounding, and I kind of dig that. It's definitely like part of the fingerprint of what Jinjer's sound is. There's that groove. Now it's a Jinjer song. Rough day on the set for that guy. Oh, cool. He's gone all Neo. He's about to drop into the Matrix. Fucking cool, man.
Disclosure. You wanna stay right out? It's I can.
Rats. Pest control. Come on, listen to that. Goddamn, Roman. It's a great effect. That was really well done. Wow, that's a strong message right now, man. Holy crap. Whew. Hang around till after the break and I'll give you my final thoughts. Hey guys, this video is made possible by Enchroma. 1 in 6 guys and 1 in 200 women are colorblind, and if that happens to be you, there's something you can do about it. Click the link in the description, it'll take you to Enchroma's website where you can get a free eye test. And while you're there, maybe pick up some corrective lenses. They've got styles to suit everybody and a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you got really nothing to lose. And while you're there, use the code CHAOS in checkout to get 10% off. Tell them Primal Chaos sent you. Man, okay, well that's clearly something, a message that they were trying to put out there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to hear from them what the impetus behind this message is and stuff like that, because it's real easy to interpret it in an abundance of different ways right now. Especially based on the timelines of when this was released and stuff like that and what's going on with Russia and Ukraine and stuff. It's a whole, yeah, that's definitely a message in there for sure. We could all use a little bit more peace, love, and harmony, right? So anyway, yeah, look, what I liked about this song is that the way that it evolves over time, that it shows like maturity. A lot of times when you're a young band, especially if you're doing extreme music, the idea is you want to put so much into every song that nobody could possibly listen to it without thinking that you put 110% into it 100% of the time. And it can be a little bit of a mistake sometimes. Sometimes what you want is just a great song, you know, and sometimes like letting a song breathe, letting it evolve over time is more important than punching you in the face 100% of the time. And, you know, it's great watching, you know, artists as they mature and they start making choices that sort of make a little bit more sense in service of the song rather than service of their own egos. I talk about this fairly often, you know, like the concept of less is more a lot of the time. But in these guys' case, they know they're good enough. They know what they can do. They know what they're capable of. They know that we know what they're capable of. And so, you know, you can do things like you can have a song that has kind of like the intro and the, you know, the first sort of, at least the first act of the song, let's say, the first third of the song is pretty straightforward rock. There's not much to it. You know, there's the occasional sort of, like dirty vocal sort of flourish or something in there to sort of catch your attention. But for, you know, from a riff perspective, you know that they're not playing what they're capable of, right? And then when the song sort of merges into that the second part, the second third, I should say, just, you know, the third act is kind of like your breakdown and your chaotic outro and all that sort of stuff. So, but in that midsection there, that's when you start to hear the real Jinjer. That's when you start to hear Roman sort of doing his thing, and you hear a lot more from who's playing drums at the moment? Vlad, that's right. You hear a lot of you know, a lot more of them sort of playing and articulating and things like that, which is great. And of course, then at that point, Tatiana tends to ramp up her vocals a little bit more, and you hear a lot more of the and those harmonized sort of, you know, bits and pieces and things like that, which are the true essence of what Jinjer's sound is. So, you know, it's like they're going to make you wait for that. And I love that. You know, that's kind of cool. And then, you know, like this is kind of like I Speak Astronomy as well, in that it sort of devolves in the end. It just becomes more and more like chaos. And I don't think that I've ever heard a band do that as successfully as Jinjer does, because I think they've got so much in their repertoire of what they're capable of. You know, this song's a perfect example because, like, you know, they can play straight rock grooves and stuff like that aren't all that super challenging. And then the middle section is like them doing their typical, like what would be considered them, you know, coasting, right? It's this is our sound, this is what we do. This is our signature, right? And then they've still got more in the tank that they can sort of apply, you know, for the breakdowns and the outros and things like that, where they can ramp it up to another level where you're just going, what is even going on now, right? So much is happening. It's all spiraling. You know, and I love that sort of like Tatiana gets real loose in those parts too. And you can hear a lot of it sort of probably was composed from improv, you know, where she's just sort of singing over the top of everything and just finding these weird avenues to sort of fit in amongst the chaos. Because you can't just apply traditional melodies in those moments. It's got to be something different and bespoke for those parts. You got to custom write things to fit, because every bar is a whole new song. You know what I mean? It just sort of evolves rather than it just plods along. And I really respect them for that. It's that third act stuff that sort of really separates Jinjer from everyone else. You know, because there's a lot of bands out there who can sort of pull off what they do in the middle of the road stuff that they do, like their sort of like highway stuff, as so to speak, you know, before they go off road. Not that anyone really sounds like Jinjer, but like that, you know, like they're not doing anything that some of the other great sort of genty based sort of bands aren't doing. You know, they just have their own flavor because of the combination of who they are. But then when they really ramp it up into the final act, it's always mesmerizing to hear. And you know, that's to me, that's super fun. That's the thing that sort of brings me in with Jinjer, is like they make choices that I can't ever imagine in any of my lifetime of writing or composing or playing. I would make those choices. They're just so left of field for me. And that's what I tend to be drawn to, is people that don't sound like I do, you know, and that's to my own detriment a lot of the times, because it means you never really have influences. But man, it's always a pleasure to listen to these guys. I don't think there's much more to say other than the fact that the video clip was kind of cool and engaging. The narrative wasn't very specific or direct. You don't know exactly what the situation is, but at the end of the day, I think the fundamental message is they're enacting revenge on this guy for something that he's done to them, probably excessive use of force or power, or corruption or whatever. But in the final act, when you think it's all coming to a head, that's when they choose to show mercy and they drive away. And I think the guy is fundamentally changed after that, you know. He glances down at a gun in his lap, which I think you could take that several ways. My first instinct was that they're leaving it up to him to make the choice, you know, or it's like, you know, a reminder that we could have chose violence and didn't. And I think that's probably the case in this case, because we all know that, like, Jinjer are very anti-war, having lived through, I guess, several conflicts in their home country now. So, yeah, it's very poignant, and I think it was handled with great care and like maturity. I think that's really cool. Any group of young people can get together and hate on war and conflict and all that sort of stuff, but I think no one more than these guys understands the true nature of being displaced, or, you know, other people asserting dominance over you and your culture. And so they have this ability to sort of tread a line with great maturity and dignity that I think a younger band who's making a protest song about, you know, the conflicts over in Eastern Bloc countries or whatever right now, they might be a little bit more ham-fisted and a little bit sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure exactly. Just, you know, a lot of times you hear protest songs from people who really have no business protesting because they read something on the internet and they're upset about it. And this, you can sense that with this, there's truth, and there's an authenticity to it, because, you know, it comes from a place of them understanding it fundamentally, you know, and that's a really important message I think we can all take away. Metal, man, it can be a great unifier. It's a great way of understanding other cultures, and you know, it's what it you know, you just have to look at the audience at any metal concert, and there's just this melange of individuals coming together for a common cause, right? Politics notwithstanding, you know, it's all about the love of watching someone push the limits, you know, and that's something, you know, that's exciting for everyone. So anyway, that's about all I got to say. If you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free to just buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Support really helps with the channel and everything like that. Also, like, share, subscribe, send this reaction to anyone who you think might enjoy it. And yeah, man, more Jinjer all the time. That's I'm into it. So thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.